everyone, let's talk about simple closures. My definition of simple closures is pretty much everything except for zippers. So throughout this month, we're going to touch on different topics. In week 1, we'll talk about hook and loop tape. Hook and loop tape comes in a variety of types and widths. Throughout the years, we've worked with a lot of different types of hook and loop tape. And we've really come to like a kind that's put out by the Velcro brand. It's called quick tie tape, and it's two-sided. So the hook portion is on one side and the loop portion is on the other side. So you can cut it in half lengthwise and then flip it over and it sticks to itself. You can find this product in a variety of places, so be sure to check out the resources post and you'll see different places where you can find that. In week 2, we'll talk about buttons. There's a lot of different ways to use buttons without having to sew an actual buttonhole. So in week 2, we'll touch on using different types of buttons and then different types of closures that work with those buttons. Either the buttons are sewn on top of a faux finish, so you have snaps underneath, or you've used a loop sewn into your center back or your closure seam, and the loop itself just loops around the button. I really like this type. We've used it on more delicate fabrics where it really would be challenging to sew an actual buttonhole. A good example of that is on the Piccadilly sweater. On the center back of that sweater, you'll see a shank button on one side and then a loop sewn into the seam on the back side. You can use a narrow cording or embroidery floss or a tiny loop made out of fabric if you know how to turn those loops. So we'll touch on that in week 2. In week 3, I'll talk about sewing buttonholes with your sewing machine. Most modern day sewing machines come with an attachment called a buttonhole foot. So you'll need to reference your sewing machine manual, or you can look up online your sewing machine type for the proper attachment and how to put that on your machine. We also have a special treat. Sherry Fuller from Thimbles and Acorns is going to show us her technique for doing buttonholes. You'll be able to find that information in the week 3 post for simple closures. And in week 4, we'll touch on using eyelets for lace-up closures, as well as some other specialty closures. One of my favorite designs using eyelets for a lace-up closure is on the sleeve of the Boomer It Falls jacket. This is a great added detail that you don't notice right away. It adds a little bit of surprise and delight on the back side when you're looking at the jacket. I also have a new dress pattern coming out this month that uses eyelets and a lace-up closure on the back of the dress. So be sure to stay tuned for that. We'll post more info about that in week 4. I really hope you guys enjoy this month and really learn a lot from the tips and techniques that we share regarding simple closures. All right, guys, let's jump in and get started.